What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon. MLB DFS video for Sunday, July 30th, 2023. We are back, hopefully bringing you some more information to help you get into a mindset to build the best DFS lineups you possibly can. If you need a little bit more help after listening to this video and you haven't already, go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. We have a lot going on over under the MLB tab. And if you need a little bit more help, a little bit more boost, just a little bit more with MLB DFS, you can always check out FTA Plus, $24.99 for the 1 month at a time. You get sports betting and DFS content over there. If you need a little bit more than that, we do still have the yearly pass, normally $199. If you guys use the promo code NFLVIP right now, you're going to get an entire year for $100 off. So go check that out, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. So, some big news. We've been talking about it. We've been teasing it a little bit, but we are going to bring back PGA and NASCAR this week. Now, possibly MMA as well. So we'll be putting that content out there. It's a little bit easier because, yeah, again, it's once a month or once a week. So we have that information for you guys. So we're going to start doing that Tuesdays. I don't know when the videos will come out, but hopefully you guys are tuned in for that. So hit that bell notification so you guys are aware when we go live or when we post the video. So that being said, any questions about that, let us know. If you have any questions at all about what goes on here, get those down below or hit us up on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Question of the day. What are your thoughts on changing the name of Twitter to X? Very curious. That being said, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit the notification. Hit the subscribe button if you find this helpful, because you have a chance to win as well. So anytime a video gets at least 50 likes, we throw out the video here. We pick one or two, depending if someone wants to pay it forward, and we go that way. So yesterday's video got at least 50 likes. Anytime a video gets 50 likes, you leave a comment. This will pick it up. You have a chance to win a free week. If the video gets 100 likes, you have a chance to win a free month. And if a video gets 125 likes, you have a chance to win a free year. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pick the winner from yesterday's video, and I'll have them contact me. So good luck to everybody, and you can win every single day. We've had multiple winners multiple times, and it's very easy to do that. So we're going to hit start. You guys are going to see who the winner is, and then we're going to get started on this big slate. So it is it's split up a little bit, and we're going to try something a little bit different too, and we'll get into that when we get into it. So good luck to you all. Let's see who the winner is for yesterday's video. Vincent Jeremio, possibly, or Jeremio. Congratulations. His comment, I wouldn't see you doing anything different with NFL that you do with the MLB. So we've been asking what you guys would like to see with NFL, trying to get a poll going. Maybe I'll do a community poll. So make sure you are subscribed. We'll get a community poll up, and however you guys think we should break it down, the overall winner, maybe that'll be what we do. So congratulations, Vincent. Please like this video and tell me that you saw it, and then either hit me up on Twitter /X at advisors_team, or hit us up over on our email, dfshelp1@gmail.com. So congratulations yet again. So like I said, we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to see how it goes. If you guys like it, we will go with that. So this incorporates a little bit of the bats as well. So this video might go even longer than normal. Hopefully you guys don't mind that. Hopefully it is informative enough for you to continue to come back. So first game, Angels at the Blue Jays. You can't play this game in a slate because it's the Peacock game of the week. You got Tyler Anderson versus Jose Barrios. Looking at this, Barrios has been hit 391 and 51 plate appearances. That's not saying a lot unless we dig into the numbers a little bit. But we're going to StatCast preview the game. So people have been asking about this. So kind of looking at the bats in the game. Who's been hitting the ball, exit velocity, hard hit percentage, WOBA, X batting average. We're looking at all of this. Obviously, the redder the numbers, the better the players are to use as your lineup. So we'll look at this. Barrios, I don't mind, in a MVP spot or a captain spot, but you're looking at bats. Obviously, Ohtani's there. The problem is, lately, if Ohtani is getting up in the series, at least they're walking him, intentionally walking him. I think he had like 2 or 3 on Saturday. So that is my only problem. Unless the bases are loaded, they might walk him. So this is where we're going to see he's going to get on base, but he's not going to get you the home run points, the extra base hits, stuff like that. So a little bit there. Taylor Ward took a ball. I think it was off his face. I haven't seen the video yet. He's in a good spot here, but I don't know if he'll play this game. It's a Sunday game, so a lot of days of rest. So Zach Neto is a good spot here. A lot of red there if you're looking at that. So Ohtani, Neto, Moustakas is okay. Not a huge ton. I mean, Moniak, so he's not hot, but he's not cold. He's basically right in the middle there. So what we can kind of look up on there. And then on here, we see, Matt Chapman, Vlad, Bo Bichette, all against lefty. Brandon Belt's a little bit cooler. George Springer a little bit on. He doesn't hit the ball hard, but all of his other peripherals are pretty damn good there. So kind of look at that. Whit Merrifield, GPP, I wouldn't mind Whit Merrifield at all. I mean, there are, some other stats that we could look at, but digging in, we could be doing this video for 30 straight hours to get you guys. So those are some of the bats in this game. So moving to that, we'll go to the first game on the main slate. You got the Phillies at the Pirates. You got Christopher Sanchez versus Rich Hill. Rich Hill still pitching. Don't know how. I really have no idea how. So we'll look at this real quick. You've got Sanchez here against Pittsburgh. He's in a good spot there. Game log, pretty good against Baltimore. They're a really good team. They're a lot better team than Pittsburgh. He hasn't faced them before. On the road, he's got a fantastic ERA on the road, 0.90. At home, 3.62. So his peripherals on the road, fantastic. 7,200 against Pittsburgh. I really like that as a cheaper option. We dig in here. We look at Rich Hill going against Philly. Game log, not doing well. 4.82 ERA, 7-10 record. He's going 4.1, 5.2. He's giving up hits, earned runs. You're not playing him against Philly. Splits, he hasn't faced Philly this year. Home games, he's got a worse ERA at home. All these numbers point to, let's take the Phillies bats. But let's look at it. So you got Schwarber. It's a lefty-on-lefty matchup. Really don't care. I like a lefty-on-lefty matchup here. I really like Schwarber here. Brandon Marsh. He's got some good numbers here, too. Bryce Harper, more of a tournament option. Still doesn't look like himself, which is crazy to think about. Trey Turner, he's always a fantastic option there. Alec Boehm against a soft toss and lefty. I don't mind him. Same with Real Muto. Same with Castellanos. So looking at this, there's a lot of red to like. There's a lot of numbers here to like. I'm looking at a bunch of these. I think the Phillies are a fantastic stack today against Rich Hill. I think the Phillies might be one of our favorite stacks on the day, early in the day. And we've got a bunch of red that we can go. So we can look at stacking the Phillies a lot different than other than that. Flipping on this side, there are some great numbers here. Jack Sawinski. So if you're not going with Chris Sanchez, the bats that you could be looking at are Sawinski. Brian Reynolds is pretty good there. Kutch, again though, guys, it's the trade deadline. It's the Sunday before. Things could happen. I'm not saying, supposedly Andrew McCutchen's not getting traded, so we can get that out of the way. Brian Reynolds just signed an extension. Not playing the best, though. Other ones that we've used in this situation for the Pirates, Jared Chirillo, we've used him. We've used him DFS, and we've used him in sports betting as well. Probably don't want much to do with G-Man Choi. I don't trust him enough. Because you can see a lot of these didn't qualify. You can change the stats. You can change it by however you want. But anyone with the asterisks don't qualify for the X amount of batters or plate appearances against this pitcher, against the Arsenal and stuff like that. So looking at that, that's kind of where we're at. Not a ton of Pirates bats that I really like. And if you go down here, you can check these out if you want to go batted ball. You can see who's doing fly ball, ground ball, fly ball, line drive, pop up, pull straight, oppo percentage. This has a lot of information, but it's so much information you might not be able to take it all in. So looking at that, that's why we're trying to make you better DFS players, trying to give you more options. So if this is something you do like, let us know. If you'd rather just go over the pitching like we do, I can do that as well. Next game, Brewers at the Braves. You got Colin Ray versus to be announced right now. Looking at this, seeing if the Braves have put anybody out yet. Charlie Morton is probable. Last time he pitched was Tuesday, so this will be his start in the rotation. Don't know why it's just not up there yet. But let's take a look. Colin Ray here. Game logs. Against Cincy. His last start, 15.9. Only gave up 2 earned runs against Cincinnati, which is crazy because I do believe we took Cincy against him, and we didn't do too good there. Splits-wise, away, a little bit better ERA on the road. At home, he is worse. On the road, he's okay. Less strikeouts on the road. He's going up against Atlanta. Hasn't faced Atlanta this year. I'm probably looking at Atlanta bats, but we'll definitely dig in a little bit and see. And then you got Charlie Morton, the third highest priced pitcher on this main slate here. Game logs, coming off a bad game against Boston. I don't, 3.2 innings, obviously not enough. 4 earned runs, he had walked 5. A little bit of trouble with the walk there. Had his recent couple of games been ish. And then he's had some really good games. He had a really good game against his old team in Tampa Bay. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Milwaukee this year. Pitching at home, a little bit worse, but still under 4. He might only be a tournament option for me, though. He is very, very expensive. So digging into these numbers, we'll do a little preview matchup of this game. If you do have questions, let us know. But I also am going to go over the ballpark rankings in a minute, just to show you also, and we can look at this as well. So I didn't do it for the first games, but we'll look at it. So Brewers, if you're not going Charlie Morton, you want to take some Brewers bats. Christian Yelich is having a resurgence year. We know that. We've seen it. We love it. William Contreras, also, a lot of great numbers here. The only thing against him is his launch angle, so he's obviously not hitting a ton of home runs. But his sprint speed also is slower. That being said, he's a good option. Saul Frelick here, he's got good speed. Numbers aren't bad. Not red, not blue, kind of in the middle there. Santana coming over here. I honestly don't mind him. He was starting to heat up for Pittsburgh. Now he's over here in Milwaukee. We can look at him here for an option. That's probably Willy Adames. He kind of green or more blue than red, but his numbers are okay. Those are kind of the people, if I am taking bats against Charlie Morton, I would take here. And then obviously, the Braves are the Braves. They're going up against Colin Ray, Acuna, across the board. Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna, Michael Harris. The Braves are another stack that I really, really, really like in this one, and we're going to take advantage of that. I think if you're making stacks, make Braves, multiple different Brave stacks in this one. That's where I'd look at. And then you kind of look, now this is yesterday's, this will be updated, but this is on the website, Ballpark Rankings. It's absolutely free. I believe the link is down in the description. If it is not, go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, the MLB tab. This will all be updated, usually pretty early in the morning this is updated. If it's not updated by 10 a.m., the day of any game, the power's out or something. So that being said, make sure to check that out. So you can see Truist Park gives up the second most amount of runs on the active. They're 5th overall, but 2nd on this slate of games that are being played. Then we can look at home run wise. Let's do this. Sort the home runs. This has the most amount of home runs active stadiums for the day. So looking at that, there's going to be some home runs in this ballpark. Looking at those numbers, wouldn't be surprised if it's Yelich. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a bunch of the Braves bats as well. So that is what we're looking at. This is very helpful when you're building out lineups and stuff like that too. So that is what I think about the Brewers at the Braves game currently. Next game, the Nats at the Mets. You've got Trevor Williams versus Justin Verlander. So Verlander's name has been floated around about getting traded. This one scares me a little bit just because if he does end up getting traded, he could end up getting traded before this video even goes out. He could end up getting traded right now and I haven't seen it. But as of now, he is the projected starter coming off a good game against the Yankees, which every single pitcher has a good game against the Yankees. Looking at Verlander here, 9,400. Game log-wise, really good game against the Yankees. 6 innings, 6 Ks. Really good game. Is that his best game of the year? 31.6. That is best game of the year against the White Sox. At home in this ballpark, he went 8 innings there, 7 strikeouts there. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Washington this year. Looking at this, he's way better at home. So using those splits, he's better at home. One more home run. Hasn't given up a ton of home runs. Walks the exact same, but strikeouts more people and less earned runs. So Verlander is in a good spot. My problem is his name has been thrown out there to get traded, so I'm a little bit concerned, but we will definitely keep monitoring that situation. And then Trevor Williams here. Is he at the bottom? He's close to the bottom. We're looking at him. I'm trying to think. We haven't used him at all. We've used against him. So looking at this, 4.47 ERA, 5-5 record. Faced the Mets twice this year. 7.1 innings, 5 earned runs, only 5 strikeouts, a 6.14 ERA going against them. I'm probably staying away from Williams in this matchup. I'd rather have Verlander and stack against Williams. But we can look at the numbers. I mean, if you're not going Verlander and you want to look, Candelario, but his name, I mean, all reports say 99% he's going to get traded. Whether or not that happens here, I don't know. We'll have to kind of see. Candelario is an option if he plays. But this is my problem. With all these players that they're talking about possibly trading, they may go out and bat 1 inning and then get traded during the game and then get pulled. And then we're absolutely screwed pretty much. Unless your entire lineup goes off, just completely goes off. So this is one I'm looking at. I love Candelario here, but he might get traded. So I'm a little bit weary. Doesn't have the best peripherals here, but, we're there. Keibert Ruiz, if he's in there. His numbers, a little bit numbers here. Obviously, he's not hitting the ball hard. He's not barreling the ball as much. But, base hits still get fantasy points. Home runs get more, obviously. So looking at that, I mean, the only players I would feel comfortable using in this lineup, Candelario, as long as he doesn't get traded. Luis Garcia, we used him on Friday night, and he hit a home run in one of our lineups. A little bit of Ruiz. And C.J. Abrams is probably the only batters that I would be looking at there. And then on the flip side, the Mets side here, Tommy Pham, great numbers here. I mean, he's hitting the ball hard when he makes contact with it. Got some good sprint speed. We're looking at that. Brandon Nimmo's another one. Francisco Lindor. Vogelbach is a very, very tournament-only option for me, but I don't mind him. And that Pete Alonso, obviously, as well, we could be looking at some of those there. But those are the ones that I would look at here. Maybe a little bit of Jeff McNeil, but that's basically it. I will take the Mets as a stack. I will take Verlander, and I will have no exposure to Trevor Williams. Citi Field here. Let's see. Citi Field, these are home runs. 115. So you can see there's a gap here. 2.4 home runs per game as an average. They rank 12th overall on the season and 7th overall on the stadiums that are in play this weekend. So that is something else to keep in mind when you're building your lineups. Next game, Tigers at the Marlins. You got Tariq Skubal versus Jesus Lizard. Skubal, both lefties here. The other teams can hit righties and lefties well. So let's dig in a little bit. Looking at Skubal. Game log, really good game against San Francisco. We used him against San Francisco. Fantastic game. Only 5 innings, but 9 strikeouts. For his price, 32.1. He's 8,700 now. Now he's going against Miami. They do have some right. Jorge Soler can hit. Brian De La Cruz can hit. Jesus Sanchez can hit. He was off Saturday. I don't know if it was just a day of rest. Kind of look at that, but he's a good option. Luis Ariz, obviously, for singles, hits, whatever you want to call it. He's good there as well. And then facing Luzardo is the highest priced pitcher on the slate. Anyone going up against the Pirates or Detroit usually are the highest priced pitchers on the slate if they're decent. Coming off a really good game against Colorado, we used him in 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, home run, 13 strikeouts there. The most amount of strikeouts there. Probably his career high. That's what I was going to say. Now, he hasn't faced Detroit this year. Pitching at home, way better at home. Love some Jesus Lizard here. Looking at that. Again, though, the Tigers, and you're going to see there's probably a lot of blue. This is the thing, I haven't looked. There's actually more red than I thought. You know what? I like Jesus Lizard here, but if you want to go contrarian, probably the top contrarian, at least on DraftKings anyway, contrarian stack would be the Detroit Tigers. They've got a lot of red going up against here. We're looking at Spencer Torkelson. I don't mind him. Riley Green has been on fire since getting back. Jake Rogers, a cheap option. Kerry Carpenter's been on there. Matt Vierling has been pretty good when we've used him. Akil Baddoo hit a home run yesterday. I think a lot of people are going to be on Jesus because he's the highest priced guy. He's going up against Detroit. I think this could be one that this might be one that surprised a lot of people. This might be the top contrarian stack to use, and we could go off of that. So I don't mind a Tiger stack. I think I'll have a little bit of exposure to Luzardo, but at his price, we go against him and he gives up runs. A lot of people are going to be out already. So I don't mind digging into the numbers here and looking at that. Then we look at Lone Depot Park here. Not a ton of home runs in this ballpark, though. They rank 29th overall. There's only one more stadium that's worse, which I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Run total, they rank 26th. So, yeah, this is more of a pitcher's park. So these are the factors you need to know. Weather's not going to be a factor in this game. This is a pitcher's park. Luzardo does better at home. All of those numbers say let's use him. But in a contrarian way, I would go with some Tigers bats if you're one that makes multiple lineups. If you're one that only makes like one lineup, okay, I get it. But they make different lineups. That's where I would use these numbers here. And then the Marlins, on the other hand, like I said, Jesus Sanchez, De La Cruz, Jorge Soler, Garrett Cooper hits lefties, Luis Ariz as well. So I'm going to have some exposure to Marlins bats. I'm probably not going to have exposure to either pitcher as much as I would have before we dug into the numbers. So this is why I like digging into the numbers, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. So maybe a little bit of a Scooble, a little bit of Luzardo, but look at these offenses here. The problem is, though, home runs do not happen in this ballpark as much as we would like. Next game, Tampa Bay Rays at the Houston Astros. You got Tyler Glasnow versus Brandon Bielak. You got Glasnow here, second most. We used him his last start. Did really well for us against Miami. 7 innings, 8 Ks, 1 earned run, 31.4 fantasy points there. Looking at splits, he hasn't faced Houston this year. But away games, little bit better ERA, 3.22 compared to 3.43. So not a huge difference. Looking at that, obviously he's expensive. To be completely honest, I might use Glasnow over Luzardo and save that 500. Maybe. And then we look, Brandon Bielak here. Look at his numbers real quick. Game log wise, he's not going deep into games. 4.2, 5.2, 5.7. He did go back on July 4th, but that was it. 4 walks. He's issuing a lot of walks. Earned runs here, home runs his last start against. It was Texas, though. They're obviously a really good offense. Tampa Bay's a really good offense, too. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Tampa Bay this year. Home games, he is better at home, but I just don't think I'll have any exposure to him. I just can't trust that he goes deep enough into games where I enjoy it. So, looking at that, let's dig into some of the numbers. And we kind of know the bats that are in play for both of these teams, but we'll look at it a little bit. In the Minute Maid Park here, looking at Minute Maid Park, right here, run total, they rank 20th overall on run total. And then home runs, 113, they rank 18th overall. So not a ton of home runs. You would think there'd be a little bit more with that short porch and left, but there isn't. So if we're not going with Bielak, Yandy Diaz has some really great peripherals here. Arozarena. Luke Raley has been finding our lineups and our cheat sheets a lot lately. Brandon Lau, I'm okay on for GPP. I don't mind. Harold Ramirez, I think, is more of a GPP too. I love Wander Franco here. I don't mind Jose Siri. Not a lot of red, but that's okay. A Tampa Bay stack, I don't mind. And then the flip side, if you're not going with Glasnow, Yordan, he's back. Hasn't got the power back yet, but he's back off the IL. Lefty on righty matchup. Same thing with Kyle Tucker. His peripherals are good. Diaz here, probably getting the start because Maldonado is trash behind the plate. He's not bad behind the plate. He's just, there's no offense out of him. And then someone was trying to say on Twitter how he's got the ring, blah, 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 and he's helping the team on defense. I think he has the most amount of pass balls. Someone look that up. Does Martin Maldonado have the most amount of pass balls this year? I'm very curious if that is true. If I'm using batters, I think it's these top three to maybe Jose Abreu. But I'd rather have a little bit more of Glass now than not having Glass now. So that's my thought in this game here. Next game, Twins at the Royals. You got Kenta Maeda versus Ryan Yarbrough. Again, you loved it. On paper, you want to take a pitcher against Kansas City every time. Let's take a look at his game logs. After not a very good game against Oakland, because he only went 3 innings, back-to-back 6+ innings here, back-to-back 23+ fantasy points here at 8,500. Going up against Kansas City, he's faced them one time this year, got the W. 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, 1.29 ERA, 33.4 here. Cheap, 8,500. I like Maeda better than I like Morton. He's got a better matchup than Glasnow. I don't mind him at all. I actually really like Maeda here a little bit more than maybe I should. And then we look at Ryan Yarbrough. Not going to use him. He's probably at the bottom. He's very at the bottom. Is he a bullpen guy? I mean, 6 innings. Was a bullpen. He's becoming a starter. Not enough. You're not getting enough. He's faced Minnesota one time this year out of the bullpen, 1.2 innings, so these numbers don't mean anything. I'm not trusting him. I'd rather take some Minnesota bats. So let's look at this. So this is in Kansas City, Kauffman Stadium. They rank 8th overall in runs. So there are runs being scored here. But home runs, they rank 26 out of 30. So that's something to monitor as well. Again, this weather and everything, this is for Saturday. This will be updated before 10 a.m. day of game every time. So get in here. We look at this game real quick. We can look at the bats that we like. We can see who we want, where we're at. So if you're not taking Yarbrough, which I suggest you don't, Joey Gallo, I mean, yeah, he hits the ball hard when he makes contact, but he strikes out a ton. Kepler, I don't mind. Kepler's name has been floated out there being traded. But Byron Buxton against the lefty, I always love. The problem, he's always hurt. You wouldn't know if he's going to be in. If Buxton is in, love him here. Donovan Solano has some great numbers. Cheaper option at first base here. Correa hasn't been as good, but he's a cheap option. Julian, I don't mind for tournaments. I'm okay with. That's probably it on the Minnesota side. Kansas City side, I'm not taking any bats against Kansas City. I'm taking Maeda here. If you want to, you can see these numbers. Bobby Witt obviously has good numbers coming off a walk-off grand slam on Friday night. Living the dream. The only thing that would be better would be if it was a World Series Game 7. But Salvador Perez, but you never know. It's Sunday, catcher's rest. But he's actually been playing first too, so I don't know how many more games till he has eligibility at first. But I saw him playing first, so that's something to monitor as well. But yeah, Sundays are the day of rest for a lot of catchers. So use that information how you will, when you will, whenever. That's my thought in this game, though. I'm all into Maeda. I don't want anything to do with Ryan Yarbrough, and I will be looking at Minnesota as my stack. I will stack a little bit. Next game, Guardians at the White Sox. Aaron Savale versus Michael Kopech. We just used Savale his last start against Kansas City. Let's take a look at those numbers. Game logs, 8 innings, 5 Ks, 25.8 fantasy points at 7,200. Exactly what we needed. Would have loved, obviously, a little bit more strikeouts, 7, 8 strikeouts, but had a good game there. He is $900 more on this slate. Going up against the White Sox. The White Sox are in sell mode, whether or not they sell. A new report said Eloy Jimenez is drawing interest, which is wild because he's hurt more than Anthony Davis, I believe. He's hurt more. I think Eloy's hurt more than Byron Buxton, and that's wild itself. So looking at Savale, I don't mind him against the White Sox. Hasn't faced them this year. Problem is he's on the road. Is that a problem? It's not. He's way better on the road. Same amount of games started. Only 7 innings less pitched. He's less hits allowed on the road, less earned runs, one more home run. Does that factor in when we're at White Sox, which White Sox is called Guaranteed Rate Field? They are ranked 17th in runs and 7th overall in home runs. So there are home runs that do get hit out of this stadium. So looking at that, I'm out of there. We'll kind of move there. Flip side of that, Michael Kopech. He's been hard to kind of decipher what kind of game you're going to get out of him. Game log 7.3 against the Cubs. 5 innings, 9 hits allowed, 4 earned runs, 3 of them home runs in this ballpark, only 5 strikeouts. Then he had a good game against the Mets at Citi Field, which is a pitcher's park, 21.2. And then Atlanta, we remember he walked 0.2 and he had 4 walks. So I don't know what to think about White Sox bats, and I don't know what to think about Kopech. Facing Cleveland one time this year, though, really good game. His best game of the year, 7 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, 36 fantasy points. Well, look, was that in Chicago or was that in Cleveland? So that was in Cleveland on the road where he's a little bit worse, but not by much. So looking at that, Kopech, tournament-wise, I don't mind, but I could also see Cleveland getting to him more. So we'll just take a look at these. Look at this game. Cleveland bats, if you're not going with Kopech, Josh Bell, switch hitter. Could be looking at him. Josh Naylor, lefty on righty matchup there. Jose Ramirez is always a good option there. Bo Naylor's been coming around for us there. And Steven Kwan and Andre Jimenez. So if you're using them, those numbers though aren't the best for Jimenez. Those would be ones that I would use for Cleveland. If you're not going with Savale, Eloy's there, but again, chance of getting traded. That's something to kind of think about in the back of your mind when you're building these lineups. Jake Berger is a cheap option there at third base with some great numbers. Andrew Vaughn is a cheap option. Luis Robert Jr. not as cheap, but he's got some good numbers. Looking at that. Those would probably be the ones that I'd look at. Tim Anderson's really come on strong since the second half. So you could look at those numbers there as well if that's where you're going with. Then you got the Cubs at the Cardinals. You got Kyle Hendricks for Steven Matz. Hendricks there's nothing sexy about Kyle Hendricks. Nothing jumps out at you. He is getting worse as the years go on, but who isn't? But he's had some couple of good games here. 6,800. He is 6,500, so he's even cheaper. Facing St. Louis, he hasn't faced them this year. On the road, he's got a better ERA on the road. Recent game logs, you're looking at about 4 to 5 strikeouts. If he could limit the runs, he could be a very cheap option at 65, an SP2 on DraftKings. I don't mind Kyle Hendricks. You're probably not going to get more than 5 strikeouts. You're probably not going to get more than 6.1 innings is the problem. But these numbers aren't bad for an SP2. He's obviously not your SP1. And then Steven Matz, I just don't know how you feel confident throwing him out there in any of your lineups. Although he's had 2 really good games. He just faced the Cubs 2 starts ago. And then he went up against Arizona, 6 innings, no earned runs. They ended up losing the game, but he had 6 strikeouts. So he's kind of turning things. Steven Matz is kind of turning things around, so it looks like his old self when he was with the Mets. So this is one where it's like, what are we going to get out of him? Do you want to throw Steven Matz in a tournament? I don't mind, but it's still a little bit scary to think about moving them around. Cash-wise, absolutely not. I don't mind Kyle Hendricks in cash or tournament. I will put that on the record. If you're not going with Steven Matz, Patrick Wisdom, he's only good for one thing, home runs. He hits the ball hard. He has a decent exit velocity. Obviously, a launch angle, that's what he's doing. He's trying to hit home runs. The bigger the launch angle, the better chance of a home run. Looking at his numbers, he's got more red than blue, so those numbers are good. Suzuki, I don't mind. Chris Morel, I don't mind. Same thing. Their launch angles are higher. Ian Happ, I don't mind. I believe he's a switch hitter. Dansby Swanson. I could see a Cubs stack in this one. And then if you're not going with Kyle Hendricks, you got Goldie here. Wilson Contreras if he's in. It is a Sunday, though. Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker we could be looking at. Burleson would be a cheaper option. Burleson almost at, if you guys have not seen Mike Tauchman's game-ending home run robbery that would have put the Cardinals up 2 on the Cubs to end the game, a walk-off 2-run home run from Friday. Go check that out. It's amazing. It was off Burleson, so we knew he has power. He's a cheaper option. He's got the launch angle. He's got the exit velo. He's got a lot going on for him, a lot more red than blue. He's a cheap option. Newt Barr at the top. A lot of leadoff home runs he can get you in these lineups. Arenado's name has been floated out there for trades. I don't think that's really gonna happen, but you never know. And then Andrew Knizner or Kisner, Andrew Kisner. I think the N is silent. He's been hitting home runs too. So if Contreras is out, Kisner is a very cheap catching option. Again, though, you just got to make sure who you're looking at. So I will have some exposure to both sides of the ball, but I'll have a little bit of exposure for Kyle Hendricks because he is so cheap here. A's at the Rockies, Luis Medina versus to be announced. We've got, let's see, Luis Medina. Is he here? No, so this is in the next one. Or it's not? Hold on, let me find this new slate. I don't know why this afternoon slate's not here. Give me a second. Okay, so for whatever reason, this game is not on the slate. I don't know why. Trying to look. Am I blind? No, it's not there. Colorado, Oakland. No, it is not here. For whatever reason, I wouldn't be using either pitcher here. I'd be using maybe bats if we're looking at it. But we're not going to dig into this one since it's not on there. Maybe they'll put it on later. I don't know. But we'll go on from there. According to this website, they don't know the Boston or San Francisco. Again, if you've been here before, you know San Francisco's never going to know who's pitching until day of and very close to game time. But let's see if it's kind of out here yet. So for Boston, Nick Pivetta is a possibility. We don't know. He was also he's been out of the bullpen, though. 5 innings on the 25th, so in actuality, he should pitch here, which we can look at. Coming off a really good game against Atlanta. And again, if this is changed and it's a different a pitcher during the day, we'll let you know. It'll be part of it'll be on the website, so definitely check that out. But looking at this, splits-wise, hasn't faced San Francisco this year. This is a pitcher's park. Atlanta is a way better team than San Francisco. Pivetta on the road, 360. He's better on the road. I honestly don't mind Pivetta for tournaments only. You could actually probably build a pretty good lineup with Pivetta and like Kyle Hendricks for both less than 8,000. I am kind of a little bit crazy, but I don't think I mind it at all. And then to be announced for the Giants, which again, like I said, probably going to be to be announced every single time when it comes to the Giants. Maybe Ross Stripling, but I feel like he just pitched. No, he pitched on Monday. This week went by quick. Not doing much there. 9.1, 7.5, 15.5. Splits, hasn't faced Boston. Home game, 7.97 ERA. I would be stacking Boston. Looking at this, Devers against Stripling, I don't mind. Tristan Casas has been absolutely on fire lately. Jarren Duran, Justin Turner's been heating up. I'd probably use Devers, Casas, Duran, Turner, Verdugo, Yoshida as well. Again, you can't use all of them probably, but mix and match a Boston stack there. And looking at this, San Francisco, Oracle Park, there it is. Again, it's a pitcher's park. 25. They ranked 25th overall with runs as of Saturday, and they ranked 27th overall with home runs, 103. So not a ton of home runs in this ballpark. Again, it's a pitcher's ballpark. So use that information how you would. And then I don't know if I'd use any Giants. If you're not going Pivetta, maybe J.D. Davis, Jock Peterson, Yastrzemski, Luciano is a cheap option. They called him up this week. Conforto, but I'd probably rather lean Pivetta more than anything. Then the Reds at the Dodgers is here. You've got Graham Ashcraft versus Michael Grove. They're right next to each other. Game logs, not bad. 18.6 is 6,800. He's now cheaper, but he's going up against the Dodgers. Coming off 8 strikeouts in that one, probably the most amount all year. Yeah, so coming off his best strikeout game of the year right there in a no decision against Milwaukee. He has faced the Dodgers once this year. 2.2 innings, 3 earned runs, 1 strikeout, 10.13 ERA, minus 2.2. It's really hard to take anyone against the Dodgers. If you want to throw him in GPP, I don't mind, I guess, but I'm not going that route. Digging into the ballpark here. Michael Grove, on the other hand, it's really hard to take anyone against the Reds, too. Grove, 4.2 in. I mean, he's not going deep into games, but he's getting these points. He's even less at 5,800. I might not mind Michael Grove for very contrarian tournament in case Cincy doesn't put up a ton of runs, but I'm feeling they might. But you can look, like there's a lot more red here. If you're taking Dodgers bats against Ashcraft, Martinez, Mookie, Muncy, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith if he's in there for the day, I don't mind. Reds against Michael Grove, McLean, Ellie De La Cruz, Christian Encarnacion Strand, I don't mind. Spencer Steer. I would say India, but his name's been floated out there to get traded as well, so definitely something to monitor. And then Dodger Stadium, runs-wise, they're giving up a ton of home runs, and because obviously the offenses are good. So they average 3 home runs a game, and they're ranked 3rd overall for giving up home runs. So a lot of the balls could fly out of there. Again, monitor that, and then check it with the weather, check with the wind, with the direction the wind's blowing, because that'll also help us too. But it's mostly because of how good the offense is. Next game, Mariners at the Diamondbacks, Luis Castillo versus Merrill Kelly. Castillo's had success against them. It's in Arizona, which is Coors Field Jr. We've talked about this. Chase Field is giving up, they ranked 13 overall, giving up 499 runs as of Saturday. They ranked 24 overall against home run, though, this year, which is it's really low compared to normal. But number 8 slugging rank as well for slugging percentage going here. Luis Castillo, 10,000 on this slate here. Game log, 26.2 against Minnesota. Had 2 back-to-back games against Minnesota that we've taken him. Looking at this, Arizona hasn't faced them this year. But away games, he's got a worse ERA away at 3.38. A lot of earned runs, less earned runs and home runs. And, I mean, that's what's crazy. A lot less earned runs, less home runs, less walks, less strikeouts. But he has a worse ERA on the road. So he's had some bad games on the road. This is a stadium that I don't know if I trust him, especially at this price at 10,000. If you're even playing like this afternoon slate, if you're playing the main slate, that's completely fine. These games don't matter, but we just wanted to give you that option when we dig through these numbers here. So looking at this, obviously we know the bats that we like pretty much. If you're new here, the bats that have helped us tremendously when we've taken them. So if we're not going with Merrill Kelly, well, we can look at Merrill Kelly. Is this his second start off the IL? Yeah. First start off the IL against St. Louis was a good start because it's St. Louis. 6 innings there, 5 strikeouts, 17.9. Splits-wise, home games, 344. So, again, his ERA is inflated at home. I don't know if I'll use either of these pitchers. I'd rather use the bats, like Julio, Teoscar Hernandez, Suarez. Mike Ford is a very cheap tournament option at first base. Tom Murphy, I don't mind. J.P. Crawford. Flip side of that, the bats for the Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Christian Walker, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. if he's in there. Josh Rojas is a cheaper option if he's in there. I don't know if he will be there. To be either him or Evan Longoria most likely. Maybe. So those are the ones there. I don't think I'd be using the pitchers in this one. The Rangers at the Padres is the next game. Rangers to be announced. Looks like it should be Eovaldi, but we'll see, versus Blake Snell. Eovaldi here day-to-day because I think it was just rest. Yeah, he was just sitting for rest. So not huge. Not a big deal. Game logs, again, you can kind of see he slowed down a little bit. He's 9,800 going up against San Diego. He hasn't faced them this year. Overall, home games, 260, a little bit worse on the road, but a good ERA overall, 2.69, 11-3 record, 111 strikeouts. And San Diego has been very wishy-washy on offense. We know that. Looking at this, Petco Park, though, they don't give up very many runs in this ballpark. 29th ranked overall. Home runs, 25th ranked overall, 106. So, yeah, they're not. This ballpark tells us let's look at pitching. And then it's Blake Snell as well. We've used him lots of starts. Had a bad game against Toronto, kind of bounced back against Pittsburgh, but did give up an earned run and only 4 strikeouts for his price. He's going up against Texas. Hasn't faced them this year, but on the road, he's better. But at home, it's not bad. It's really not bad. The problem is Texas is so good. And we'll look at those. And you know Texas is good. They're one of the best teams of the year so far. And the numbers prove it. If you're not going with Snell and you want to look at some bats, Josh Young here. Don't mind him. Adolis Garcia hits lefties well. Duran hits lefties well. Nate Lowe, lefty-righty, really doesn't matter for him. He's got some good numbers there. Simeon, lefty on righty matchup there as well. If you're not going with Eovaldi, you want to go with these bats. Juan Soto, his name has been floated out there about being traded, so that's something to kind of pay attention to. Tatis, fantastic numbers. He's got the speed too. Machado, Trent Grisham, Ha-Sung Kim. Gary Sanchez's name somehow has been thrown out there for trade bait, even though, it's what a career. Bogarts, I don't mind. Those would probably be maybe Cronenworth. Nah, probably not even Cronenworth. Probably be focusing on these top ones. A little bit of Sanchez if he starts, and some Bogarts here, and then the Texas bats there as well. And then the final game, this isn't on anything. This is the Sunday night game, so it's a single game. You got Severino versus Dean Kramer. You got the Yankees at the Orioles. Sevy's coming in here. His ERA is bad. Kind of look at individual numbers here against them just to see. Santander coming off with the walk-off on Friday. He's got okay numbers here against Severino. 3 for 8 with 2 home runs. James McCann, don't think he'll play, but 3 for 6 with 2 doubles. Gunnar Henderson, 3 for 3 with a home run there. Depending on the lineup that comes out for the Orioles, you don't know what you're going to get out of Sevy. You really don't. His ERA is not the best this year. So let's dig in. Let's look at the ballpark here. This is Camden Yards, or Oriole Park at Camden Yards, whatever. 430 runs. They rank 19th overall. They rank 21st overall for home runs. They moved the walls back like 20 feet in left field where a lot of home runs were, which kind of sucks for people who want to see offense and not pitching. But we'll look at the players here to finish it up. And if you have any questions, let us know. If you found this helpful, let us know too, because a 50-minute video is pretty long, but it's very informative. It's a very good first look, and hopefully it helps. If it does, let us know. Would love to know if this is something you enjoy over other things. And also, again, FTA Plus, we have a lot of information over there. So looking at this, Judge is back, going up against... let's see if Judge has faced him before. Can't remember. Dean Kramer, 88. Yeah, probably Judge has faced him. Let's take a look at Judge's numbers against him too. See what we like. LeMahieu's 8 for 21 with 2 doubles, but he's been struggling lately. Gleyber Torres, 4 for 14 with a double. I don't mind him. Aaron Judge, 4 for 10. 3 of his 4 hits are home runs. So he has hit very well. Obviously, we know his launch angle is massive. He's hitting his exit velo is an average of 97.2. He's hitting the ball really hard. He's there. Stanton has been really up and down. Again, if he doesn't play the outfield, I'm guessing he might play right field in this game because Judge played right field on Saturday, and I'm assuming they're not going to do double days, but we never know. Ben Rorvet, maybe if he starts, but he probably won't. DJ, he's got some good numbers, but he's been struggling this season. Rizzo's been struggling this season. You'd be looking at Volpe, IKF. I really like if he gets in there. Bader as well. And if you're not taking Severino because you're playing the single game, you need to get some numbers in there. Ryan O'Hearn, I don't mind. Gunnar Henderson has some good numbers this year. Ryan Mountcastle as well. Santander as well, the top BVP against Sevy in this one. Adley, I don't mind either. Maybe Cowser, cheaper option, but I don't know if he'll be playing. So, there you have it, guys. If you found this video helpful, it was very long, I understand. But hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, let us know. Let me know how you've been doing with our information. If you're excited for the NFL, hit us up. I've been thinking I want to do like division breakdowns, going through with our draft guide, going through the ADP and stuff like that, and then hitting the different offensive positions for fantasy to look if like a training camp type thing. Obviously, it's before the injuries come through. It's before preseason and all of that, and so things will change. But if that's something you guys are interested in and you're thinking, yeah, I would listen to that, let me know, because I would absolutely love to do a full breakdown. And I kind of want to see how many of you actually listen here till the end, kind of a little bit exposure to see who's still around. So that's all I've got in this video. Good luck on this slate. We will be back for Monday. Let's bring home some bacon, guys. Peace!